Hello, everybody. Okay, I'm trying to figure out where to put my light. This is literally like the most unflattering situation. Okay, definitely not there. Okay, let's get Jess on here. Oh, I should probably have my volume on. Okay, that's on. All right, we're waiting on Jess. We're gonna do some Q&A, ask us anything carnivore. It doesn't even have to be carnivore related. If you just want to know things. Oh, there we go. Hey. Hey.
Hey,
How goes it?
I'm good. It's still requesting to join, so I'm just going to get rid of that screen. Hi, how are you?
Hi. Good. Okay, real quick, since we already have questions coming in, if you guys could put them. Okay, last time I think I said, for me, it's a little bubble with a question mark. It might look different for you, but then that's a way that they're all organized. Any questions you have, they're organized so we don't lose them because I already lost whatever happened. I saw something about dairy and then I saw something else. So put all your questions in the question box, whatever that looks like for you. Or maybe I can, and if people forget, I can write them down as they go. So we have a dairy one, and then I just saw a macro one.
Yeah, someone's just asked how many grams of fat to eat a day and how too much. Someone asked tips on getting started. 1 month and a half on carnivore, 0 weight loss. Okay, cool. And then everybody else, pop them in the box because then otherwise they just get lost above. But I've just
Yeah, I didn't even see all those. Okay, where should we begin?
Oh my God. Are you well? How are you, my beauty?
Good. It's so good to see you. You've been traveling all over.
I know I've been missing in action for sure, but it's so good to be back and like to start getting normal life. But yeah. Okay, cool. Do you want to start with the questions that we've got so far?
Yeah, so we did get a few in the question box, like that we put in our stories. So let's just start with the first one. Is feeding your kids this way healthy? And then I think they also asked, like, how do we feed our kids? Is it safe for children?
Yes, it is 110% safe. I love that question though, because we're like, oh no, is like eating the most natural thing that we evolved eating okay for our children? Like it just shows how far away from like us being in touch with what we're meant to do in just nature. So yes, in the short, yes, 100%. Every single thing that we need, we can get from meat alone. So it is fully safe. Both of my big girls and my baby, so I've got 3 kids, they are all carnivore. The baby has been carnivore since day dot. So, and she is thriving and healthy and well and all the things. My oldest's 11 and 8, and they have been, primarily meat-based for about 3 or 4 years, and then fully carnivore since January 22. Now, I say full carnivore, but we're talking 99%. Like they had the odd pickle here and there. They have the odd bit of condiments like mustard and that kind of thing here and there. It is not a daily or weekly thing. It's more just kind of, it just ebbs and flows. And because I want them to keep a very relaxed stance on what they're doing, if they want a pickle with their meal, I'm like, yeah, cool, go for it. But often they won't choose to have those things anyway. So I say carnivore, but I'd say, if you put all of the quantity of their food in a container, it would all be probably 99.8% carnivore.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm just going to pin a comment to put your questions in the box. If I can even pin this. I feel like I had an issue last time.
While you're pinning that, Core, I'm just going to tell the guys a little bit about my experience with my middle child. India is now just turned 8, but when she was a couple of years ago, she had some really bad gut health. And basically, we did a consultation with Professor Bart Kay and talked to him about her issues and symptoms, etc. And this was when she was going to mainstream school. Now, all my kids have been homeschooled since since the lockdown hit in New Zealand. And we put them back into mainstream school for about 6 first moved to New Zealand, and she was having lots of problems, heaps of problems. She has gastrointestinal inflammation, she had rashes, she had issues with her digestion, with her stool, with her concentration, with her mood, like everything. She was all over the place. And Professor K said to me, you know, you need to get her on carnivore, and you need to get her, essentially it's an elimination diet, isn't it? It's pulling out anything that could have an inflammatory response in someone's body, taking them back to scratch, and then healing them, and then looking at what they might want to reintroduce.
Wait, and really quick though, sorry,
yeah.
I just want to clarify, because I was typing when you started. Was this before you went carnivore? Like, was this your introduction to carnivore?
So
him saying this?
They'd already been kind of like heavy meat based.
Okay.
Sorry,
go on.
Yeah, they were primarily eating that way, and then we put them in mainstream school, and what it meant was is they just had access to everything. And she would have been asking kids or taking kids foods or whatever. You know what kids are like, they share it around. And when she went to mainstream school, her problems all got worse. And so, you know, Professor K said, right, you need to do this. And I said to him, how do I do that with her? Like, how do I get her to stop eating these foods that she's addicted to, like we all are, but specifically children, and that everyone around her is eating? And so how do I do that? And he said to me, well, I don't have kids, so I don't know how to do it, but this is what you need to do, so find a way. So I do understand people's hesitance in doing this, because it's so against the normal grain that it feels like you're being like abusive to your children by just feeding them everything that they need and nothing that they don't, and we have to defend it, and it's this whole thing. And we did have issues with the school.
Hold on, stay back. Sorry.
We had people, you know, not wanting to enforce it and going, oh, well, can't you just give them this, that, and the other, and then they're substitutes. And it is tricky in today's society to have children eating carnivore and it not be looked or frowned upon or looked down on. So it's tricky, but it can be done. And when we did do that, all of the issues, don't worry, Court, it's fine.
You talk, I'm going to hear what her issue is.
Yeah. All of her problems basically resolved. She healed her gut, her digestion sorted itself out, her skin conditioned away, and she started to thrive. And so for people that are looking at doing this for their kids and for like health issues, let's say it's autism, for example. I work with a lot of clients that have autistic children, and this is incredible for kids with autism, you know, or metabolic disease, you know, diabetes, like all of the things. So yes, it's 100% safe, and you can do it. It takes a little bit of time and it takes some support. And if you don't have the support, then you have to just put on your big girl pants and do it yourself, because our kids are our responsibility, right? And so nobody else is going to do this for me. So I just kind of had to muddle my way through, and it's been amazing for her.
That's awesome. And yeah, it's interesting how people are always like, sorry for the interruption, speaking of children, they're like, oh, is it safe? But like nobody is questioning donuts, cereal, like all the other shit they're eating. Like no one bats an eye at that. And I don't mean to like diss this person who asked that, because it is like scary in a way. Like at first you're like, wait, what? Like only meat? Like we're so conditioned to believe that we need vegetables, but we don't. So maybe that's also where they're coming from too. But yeah, my kids.
People don't know the harm of vegetables. So they think, I'm doing it right, I'm giving them meat and vegetables. And that's great. Yes, that's better than anything processed. It's better than any seed oils. And if that's what you're doing and it's working for you, great. Like, we are not here to judge what you're doing or tell you what you're doing is wrong in any ways, because both Court and I have gone through lots of experiences with children, right? It's not easy. However, like Courtney said, nothing's being questioned about the bad crap that we're putting in children's mouths. And then when we look at giving them really nutrient dense, amazing foods, we're being questioned and criticized. So yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it's frustrating. And they think it's sad when we don't give them other stuff. But I know, like, we're a
Mm.
little different. My kids do have some other stuff, but that's like a whole other rabbit hole. Let's touch on,
I just
let's
want
see.
to say, like, with the whole giving them things, like my mum's the same, and Aunt's parents are the same. They want to treat our children with food. And we keep trying to say to them, like, give them your time. Take them to the zoo, give them the experience, because that's what they're going to remember. Not that you bought them an ice cream, but took them places and shared experiences with them and you had fun with them, because that's what they really want. The instant gratification of sugar in your mouth is like, oh, yay, and your brain goes, woo, and then it's over, you know. And so we keep saying to them, just stop trying to treat them with food, because then what we're also doing is getting them in a cycle of like wanting reward through food. And how many adults have issues with rewarding themselves through food? Like, we celebrate using food, we reward ourselves using food. Like, there's all this stigma around food and how we celebrate it as a culture. And so if we can start changing that, and like the girls now, when we're doing something to reward them, they choose an activity. It might be rock climbing, it might be, you know, at the moment they want to climb everything, so find some dirt cliff or something to climb up and then jump into the water. Like, they love it. Whereas, you know, they might something and it's so short, and then their mood shifted and their digestion's affected and their brain's affected, and you're not treating them, you're actually taking from them. And that's a little bit of a thing to get your head around too, because I'm not treating my child, I'm technically poisoning and punishing their bodies. And yeah, sure, their bodies might be able to deal with that toxin much more effectively than an adult, and their cellular turnover and regeneration is faster, so they're not getting fat or they're not getting sick obviously right now, but it doesn't mean that that's not what they're leading to, and that you're not affecting their hormones, their mindset, their digestive function and their blood sugar by doing that. So try and with time, treat your kids with experiences.
Yeah, I agree. And oh God, isn't she obnoxious? It's so high pitch. Yeah, Jeff just got home, so she hears the garage door open and she's like, and somehow she got in here. I don't know, it's just a shit show over here.
I thought
Usually what?
It had a squeaky toy and was like squeezing some squeaky toy.
She's obnoxious. No, I agree with everything you say for sure. I think where we come at it with our kids is we want to, well, like educate them and give them that education so they can make good choices. But I think, you know, I'm cautious of not creating some weird food issues. So we do give them the freedom sometimes. Like, you're not, you know, oh, do you want a donut or meat this morning? Like, it's not like that. But if we're at a birthday party, you know, and it's like, okay, if you want to have a piece of cake, then, you know, have it, but listen to your body, don't have a lot, you know, like, and then later when they're off the rails, be like, hey, you see how you feel right now? Like, see how you're acting? Like, this is why, you know, because you had that cake. So we do try and, oh, I hate the term balance because everyone tells me I need to eat a balanced diet, but I don't know. That's just the approach we eat. Is I control everything I can at home. Everything we have is like a yes, you can have it. Even like having popsicles, like I don't even want the popsicles in the house because they're constantly asking for one. So I want but we do, like, I'd rather have a treat outside of the house than have them in. I want everything we have here to be like a yes, sure, have it, instead of, oh no, not right now. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts on it.
And it's tricky when you're in it, because when they're already eating these things, and they're already in these habits and they already have this experience, it is hard. Whereas with my baby, well, she turns 3 next week. It's insane. So she's not really a baby anymore, but she's never had it. So she's not missing out on things. So someone offered her a banana or a piece of fruit the other day, and she just looked at it like, what the hell is that? And she's just like, no. And so, you know, I do get it is harder when you're already in that situation where they already have those things. And that correlation that you just made then with getting them to associate how they're behaving, how they feel, their emotional response, all those things with the food, brilliant. Because if you don't allow them the chance to learn that for themselves, they're never going to learn it. We can't teach our kids through words. It happens through experience. They're going to learn the hard way, so to speak, like we did. And so, you know, that whole reinforcement of how do you feel when you eat that, that's great. That's the first steps, because then they'll start to go, oh no, I don't want that. The only fail problem that I had with that was that our kids are so addicted, like so addicted, especially my middle girl, to sugar and carbohydrates, and it had caused her all like really borderline or autoimmune condition that we didn't have that choice. It couldn't be like, okay, we do it the nicey way. It was, we just ripped the carpet out from underneath her and said, okay, we're going to deal with this because we have to. So it does depend on like your environment.
Yeah, and that almost like makes it a little easier in a way. Like we have someone in our co-op who they can't have like gluten and they're vegan, but that's a whole other thing. But at least the gluten thing, it's like, oh, you can't have this cake because you're allergic to this. So it almost, and that's like acceptable. That's socially acceptable. Oh, you're allergic. But I would be the asshole if I'm like telling my kids, no, I don't want you to have that because it's sugar and chemicals and all this stuff, you know? So it's just, it's weird, like the double standards, how like if it's by choice, then that's not cool. You know, you're depriving them. But if it's an allergy, I mean, I feel like technically maybe we can all say that we're allergic to gluten and sugar and all that, because I mean, it sure as hell affects me, even though it wouldn't be a normal allergy, you know?
Yeah. And what is an allergy? Like if you took a cell out of your body and put it in a petri dish and put a drop of sugar on it, it would age, dry out, go brittle and die. Like it is poisonous, and people don't want to think that sugar is poisonous and that what they're giving their kids is actually a slow poison. And oh, there was this awful movie once about one of the mothers putting rat poison in the daughter's soup and like keeping her sick on purpose and slowly killing her. And that's like horrific for us. But we can have the same understanding deep down on a cellular level about how sugar affects and kills our cells. But then we're like, oh no, it's okay. Everybody else is doing it. It's fine.
Because everyone's addicted.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all addicted. Anyway, should we move off the kids topic?
Yeah.
I feel like we could hang there for a while. Let's talk Thanksgiving. Okay, someone wants Thanksgiving ideas. They said they always made Brussels sprouts with bacon and bacon grease, and I actually used to as well. Like Brussels sprouts were one of my jams. And she's like, it seems like though what people are really wanting, and this is what I've said before, is you want the bacon, you want the bacon grease, you want the crispy parts of the Brussels sprouts that taste like potato chips. So I'm trying to think, you know, what are some other options? Like, oh, this is a really stupid question. Do you guys do Thanksgiving?
No.
Okay. I'm like, wait, that's just like a here thing, right?
No, we don't actually do Thanksgiving, but we do, we, you know, obviously Christmas and stuff, which for us is summer in New Zealand. We do all the same type of thing. So it's all the Brussels sprouts with bacon and jazz. So that, you know, I'm talking about. And I also think it's so hilarious that people are going for the bits of the Brussels sprout that don't taste like the Brussels sprout.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, for me, it's like Thanksgiving and Christmas, like it's just another day to me as far as like food. Like, I don't know. I still want to just have some ribeyes. I don't want to do the whole damn turkey. That's a pain in the ass to me. But we do it because other people want it. But what I'm trying to think, like, what did you do last year? I don't even remember what I did for like carnivore side dishes.
So we, like side dishes, I can't remember, but like obviously we have massive pieces of meat. So we had a big thing of leg lamb roast, and we had beef, and we had, we did prawns, and we did chicken, and we did, oh right, Maya's just saying we did some potato. Yeah, we did some little bits for the different family members that aren't carnivore. But what I always do whenever I'm prepping for an environment where I'm having to feed people, because this is the thing too, like I don't like giving people poison. So it's not just my kids. I'm like, I really don't want to feed you this because I actually have a deeper understanding of what this is doing in your body, and I don't really want to be doing that to you. So, you know, we'll peel the potatoes, get rid of some of the oxalates, boil them, get rid of some of the oxalates, put them in the freezer, break down the starches, and then cook them in animal fat. So there's all these ways that you can break down the toxins in the vegetable to make it more edible. So we do that. And it's the same like with other items that we do similar things and processes so that at least what we're giving people aren't as bad as if we just did a quick throw together. I'm trying to remember what we did for Christmas last year.
Yeah, no, now you saying that reminded me, we just like splurge on like the cuts of meat. Like Costco has around the holidays, they'll get like ribeye cap steaks. So it's usually like 2 or 3 different ribeye caps and they'll tie them together in this little like fillet looking thing. So
Yeah.
I just cut the string off and cook them as strips. But just having like more animals, you know, splurge on the cuts. Like if you don't normally eat, you know, filet mignon and you want that, or you want like the ribeye caps, or you want to do a whole like standing rib roast, or, you know, just kind of like have like sea bass or scallops. Like for me, I'd rather spend more money and splurge that way than be splurging on crap ingredients that are going to make you feel like
Yeah.
shit after.
And we did the same thing actually. We did carnivore ice cream, we did the carnivore cheesecake, we did like you said, we did more prawns and fish, stuff that we don't typically eat. We did different cuts of meats. And then like the carnivore ice cream went down like, and the carnivore cheesecake, oh my God, it's so rich and yummy, so good. But like, so the kids felt like they were having these amazing celebratory foods. You
Yeah.
should have how excited they were to just have some fresh berries. Like when your children are jumping up and down because they're having some blueberries, you've done something right in your life, because they should be that excited about something like that, because fruit's amazing, but it is meant to be seasonal, and we are only meant as humans to eat this through periods of seasons, like before winter, to fatten ourselves up so we could survive through that. And so they now, and seasonally, they have a bit of berries here and there, and they are like jumping up and down and squealing like you've given them, you know, and it's so nice to see the effect that they have with those things. They get so much joy out of things that people were feeding their kids as snacks on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let me read in here. Oh, it says we have questions, but none of them are in there now. What happened? It said we had a bunch and now it says no questions. No. That's so weird. Can you see it on your side?
It didn't even come up on mine. I can see people,
Um,
I've seen a few other questions. People are asking about like where to start with carnivore. Do you do dairy or beef only?
okay, let's touch on that and macros.
Do we drain off the fat off ground beef? No. Do you drain the fat off your ground beef?
Oh, I think someone asked because I did for like the lasagna bowl. It just depends, and it depends on like what I'm doing, and like I don't want to give my kids a big bowl of liquid fat. It'll probably give them the shits. So it just really like depends. Oh, sorry, are your kids listening? Me and my mouth.
I, I I do not have the most tame mouth. Maya's laughing because she's like, she didn't even hear you swearing then. Whoopsies.
As far as getting started and having dairy, for me, it's what makes this like sustainable. It's probably ideal if I'm not having it all the time, but I don't know. I can't just do no dairy. Like it's just not going to happen. So I think if you tolerate it and it helps you stick with this way of eating, then that's great. I think raw would be a good idea. I don't know. I eat it all. I'm probably the worst person to ask about dairy, and I know it can be inflammatory for people, so I think it's just depending, and I would definitely have it if it works for you.
Yes, me too. I love dairy. I love, same as you, I'm a heavy cream girl. I could literally drink it out of the bottle. It's so yummy. But it doesn't serve me to do that, so I don't. I have control mechanisms around those things, because like other food addictions, it can lead. I'm lying. I never eat anything other than carnivore. I'm so ridiculously strict that everyone's just like, do you ever eat anything off? And I just barely ever do. But it is a slippery slope with cream, because then I want to have more coffees, and then I want to have cream cheese, and then I want to have other processed cheese, which is all just crap as well. So it's more what it leads me into eating more of. And like one of my favorite things is like bacon, crispy bacon with cream cheese. It's just like so good. So if I'm in one of those states where I'm eating too much dairy, then I just find my body fat creeps back on. I'll get a bit of my cellulite back on the back of my thighs, and I might even get a little bit of like patchy eczema. And so I just keep moderation. But like Courtney said, the biggest thing about all of this is what can you stick to? Like, what is sustainable for you? If you eating cheese and dairy and cream and milk and butter is supporting you staying on this way of eating, then do it. Like, absolutely, because it's still better than the alternatives. I say this about other food too, because people are like, what about if I'm on the plane, or if I'm, there's no food and all my options are processed meats like salami or da-da-da or ham. And I'm like, it's still better than any alternative thing that you're going to put in your mouth. So
yeah.
go.
Okay, real quick. I know I've said a million times, put the questions in a box, but don't do that anymore. Put all any of your questions in the comments because the box is not working. And thank you for who was going to send me a screenshot, but I can't access my DMs right now. I just want to address the dairy stalls people. I don't know if I agree with that. I think it can stall people because they're probably overeating what they need. I don't think it's necessarily the fault of the dairy. I think it's just easy to eat too much. Like, I think if you're tracking macros, then you could I mean, I'm losing again after like a 6-month stall and I'm still having some dairy, but I'm tracking my macros. I think it's a slippery slope. You have a little too much in your coffee. You have a bite of cheese here and there. And I think that's what stalls people. Granted, I will say maybe you can carry some water weight with dairy, so maybe that's part of it too, but I don't know if I totally agree with that blanket statement, but I could be wrong.
When I first went fully carnivore and I was eating cheese and dairy and like all the things, I was like, it was falling off me. It did not affect my weight at all. It typically seems to be for other clients and stuff are more an inflammatory response or an inflammatory problem. And that isn't just what you're putting in your mouth. That is the state and the health of your overall nervous system. And so dairy might be just the tip of the iceberg, but underneath your issue is actually your nervous system function. And if you sort out the resilience, health, and robustness of your nervous system, then you can tolerate these things anyway. That's just what's showing. So it's not always what we think it is.
Yeah.
It can be so many factors.
Yeah. And I lost 45 pounds having dairy. Yeah. I click on the box. Someone's saying I have nine questions. I click on it and it says there's none there. And it said like I have 7. I clicked on it, gone. So no questions in the box. Put them in the comments. Can you grab her?
It's so weird.
Hello.
I can't see any of them. So,
See you where?
I was in the room.
You came in here?
Yes.
No. Do you want to come say hi? Jeff said he walked in the room earlier. I'm sitting right by the door. I did not see him. Come say hello to the people.
Oh, hello, people.
Not you, Archer. Oh, that's so funny. I am not observant. Get back. I don't want you on camera. Okay. So yeah, put questions in comments. Can everybody leave?
You're not going on camera.
What else was there? Macros. So what are your thoughts on macros?
2.
I don't want your face on camera. Go, please.
So right here.
No, you know that I don't do any of that. Like, because of my history with essentially emotional eating and because I've been in PT. I was personal training 21 years ago, so I've been in this industry for freaking ages, and
Take the dog. Go, take the dog.
I had lots of issues with my relationship mentally to food. And so when I went carnivore and I changed the way that I look at fuel, and I was like, oh my God, everything I'm eating is nourishing and giving to my body rather than taking from it. And that's how I started looking at it. And I didn't care about the weight, because actually when everything balances out, your body will get to a point where that's the resultant of you caring for it. And typically it looks pretty good. So aesthetics is the second-hand byproduct of self-care, of actually looking after yourself properly. And so I don't ever track my macros. I don't do any of that jazz, because I don't want to get in a negative or obsessive kind of headspace with food that I've been before. So this is just my own personal thing. I don't do that. And if my body fat creeps up, or I notice something in my cellulite or something that I'm not happy with aesthetically, then I just tighten it up. I go, I went beef only. I did the line diet for like 6 or 7 weeks this year. I did 3 months with no coffee. I've done 3, I do blocks of things where I just go, okay, I'm just going to tighten up a little bit in these areas. And then naturally my weight will just adjust accordingly. So I'm not so strict with that kind of thing. I know you track yours. But you know, it's definitely an individual thing. If tracking leads to you being obsessive about what you're doing, I would strongly suggest not doing it and just modifying. But equally, it does give you information, and if you're trying to work out something or how to get to a goal, then it can be helpful as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, a lot of people thrive eating this way, don't need to track their macros, but a lot of us need that extra help and guidance to, I don't know, just eat what we need. I think, you know, coming from a place, if you've been a binge eater or insanely overweight, sometimes you need that tracker to just reel you in. Like, are you really hungry for this bag of pork rinds? Or is your mouth just hungry? So it's like, it kind of like, at least for me, keeps me in check. Like, oh, okay, can't, do you know what I mean? Like, do I really want to eat this? Like, am I actually hungry? Because if I look at my macros, I'm probably like good for the day. So I think it's just nice, like another piece of information, another tool. I think it's super helpful in the beginning, at least, for people to get a visual. I hate the should, but of what they should be eating. I think if you're coming from a place of overeating, it's good to get an idea of like where I should be at if I want to be losing weight. Your hunger cues might be all messed up from however you've been eating. So it gives you like a nice idea, or at least know that, you know, you should be between a pound and a half of meat a day typically. Or if you're coming from a place of under eating, then it kind of gives you that permission, like you're allowed to eat this much and you'll still be okay. So I like it. And I've been doing it on and off these last, well, years before when it was keto, but on carnivore on and off for the last year and a half. And right now I'm back on because I went 6 months of the scale not moving. So I'm tracking again to finally get to my goal. So
Yeah.
someone said, if you crave eating a tin of sardines, then you are hungry. Yeah, I think knowing, you know, Kelly Hogan's talked about this in her coaching group, like find that one food that you're like neutral about. Like if it's on a scale of like 1 to 10, you would give it a 5 and ask yourself, like, so it would be like for me, like cold burger patties. Am I hungry enough to eat a cold burger patty? If so, then I'm probably hungry. If it doesn't sound good, then I'm probably not. And I'm just feeling snappy.
Also, what you're talking about there with being able to read your body's cues, right? If you're actually craving something or if you're actually hungry, etc. How do you know if that is actually true or not? Because with carbohydrates in particular and other foods, when we eat them, it resets that button, so to speak, that tells us whether or not we're full. So our satiety gets affected by what we put in it. So for example, if I had a piece of steak, I might be able to eat half or 3/4 of that piece of steak before I feel full. But if I have some carbohydrates on the side of that, it now resets that receptor that tells me I'm full, and now I can eat more. So I could eat all the steak and the potato and the salad and the da-da-da-da-da. Whereas if I took all those things away, my body can tell me when I'm done. When I add those things, I now have no ability to know if I'm done or not. And some of the lactose and sugars found in cheeses will do that same thing. So if you're eating things, like I said before, like cream cheese and stuff, which are highly processed crappy cheeses, it's going to do that same thing. And you'll be like, oh, I'm still hungry. Are you? Or have you now just messed with your receptors? And so if you don't want to go down that, I'm going to start tracking my macros, it might be too much for you. You might be new to carnivore, whatever it is. Another way that you can do it is by resetting those hormones that tell you when you're done. And to do that, you need to do a prime, and priming basically involves eating 3 times a day, maximum that you can get in, but only of carnivore foods. If you mess it with other food groups, it does not work. And when I did this originally, I did 2 weeks of priming where I ate as much as I could 3 times a day for 2 weeks, and I lost 4 kilos, which is like, what, 8.9 pounds, something like that. Like, I lost a lot of weight. And so, like Courtney was talking about before, by giving yourself permission to eat enough, because that's what I did. I used to undereat. I realized that actually if I'm putting in the right things and I'm even stuffing myself beyond capacity, I still lost a ton of weight in 2 weeks. And that would have been fluid and it would have been all sorts of different things. But what I did, the most important part of that, was I reset my hunger cues, and I can actually know what my body's telling me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Except I will say I did have cream cheese today in a recipe and I've been good. Like I'm actually having like a not hungry day. Yesterday, ravenous. Today, I'm probably like under my macros. Susan is asking if we want goals to move, steady losing steady losing weight, building lean muscle mass, and have no support at home, do you recommend a coach like Kelly Hogan or someone else? I definitely think it's great to have some sort of support. I love the like community feel. So yes, I would definitely recommend that. Kelly Hogan has great groups. I am in Danny Conway's weight loss accelerator group right now. It's great. She's doing another one in December. Highly would recommend that. And yeah, we have a lot of, carnivore friends in this community that have group coaching. Like Carnivore Dr. Lisa has stuff. Tiffany, who else does group coaching? I made a story about this last week and now I'm blanking on everybody.
Even Davey does a 30-day carnivore group. There's a steak and butter. There's
steak and butter. Yeah.
Of support group, and it's amazing because there are all these communities for sure. The only thing I'd say to you is your questions there about losing weight and building lean tissue or lean muscle mass. It's awesome to have a support coach for sure, and if you're in a situation where you don't have access to those things, it doesn't mean you can't still achieve those things. Losing weight or body fat, because that's what you're talking about, I'm assuming, Susan, is that you're wanting to bring your body fat down and increase your lean tissue. Do you need a coach to achieve that? No, you do not. Does it help you get there faster? 100%. Does somebody else looking at things from a different angle give you different perspective? Absolutely. Does having that accountability mean that you're going to achieve your goal? Potentially. But I have clients that have the opposite and have been in different coaching environments, and it has actually been a hinder to them. So you just go into whatever you're going into with open eyes, and also realize that body fat reduction and increase of lean tissue or muscle mass is not just what you put in your mouth and how much you move. It's too simple. It is all nervous system health. And a simple way of kind of explaining that is like when I was eating all the same thing and my energy expenditure of exercise was the same, I basically blew up. I put on about 5 or 6 kilos almost overnight. I looked pregnant. I was like, and I did not know what was going on. And this had nothing to do with any of that. So you have to really strip it down and go, okay, this isn't all related to what I'm eating or how much I'm training. And it was stress. I was so stressed out. My hormones were all over the shop. My nervous system was dysregulated. And when we don't have a regulated nervous system, we can't regulate our blood sugar levels. We can't digest properly. We can't, like, all of these autonomic systems that happen in our body get affected when our nervous system is dysregulated. So just remember that too. Like, it's not just, oh, I've got a good coach, or I'm eating the right thing, or I'm doing the right exercise. It is all of that, and it is your nervous system health. And so that is grounding, that is regulating your nervous system, that is toning your vagus nerve. There's so many pieces to it. And if you're struggling to lose weight, don't just look at those 2 avenues because it's too reductionist. There's so much more to it. And Courtney and I can help you. So if you DM us, we can always point you in the right direction.
Yeah, so many pieces to the weight loss puzzle. It's not just what you're eating and your movement. Like, I'm trying to work on like getting more calm and doing more self-care because I want to lower why am I forgetting the word? My cortisol. So yeah, so many different things, different biohacking, get out, get morning light, do some grounding, like you said. I feel, fasting, that's a whole other topic too. Whether you're doing that or not, or you're eating in the morning, the whole leptin resistance rabbit hole I've started going down. So there's a lot. And yes, pork rinds are okay. Those are my jam.
As long as they don't have seed oils, like all the ones in New Zealand, they bloody put seed oils in everything.
Oh,
And
bummer.
dextrose as well. Anything with a OSE on the end is sugar, by the way, guys. So glucose, sucrose, dextrose, anything with an OS is a sugar. So you want to be avoiding those, and seed oils. So only pork rinds if it's suitable. Sadly for us, I've only found 2 that don't have them, and everything else does, which is annoying.
Yeah,
You guys have variety than we do in New Zealand.
yeah.
And so often I've got all these little flowers and things, and I'm like, I have to get very creative in New Zealand because we just can't get hold of any of it.
Opinion on coffee. I like it. I've done a few stints of giving it up. I notice like I do better with just decaf. Once in a while I do have, well, almost every day I do have a little bit of caffeine in my like espresso thing, but it's only because like that's my only buzz. I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't eat, sugar. So it's like once in a while I want that, but I've noticed my energy level throughout the day, especially in the afternoon, is better when I'm like on mostly decaf.
Yeah. And you know me, I'm a big old nerd. I've been on decaf for 20 years. I cut out caffeine a very long time ago, and I did it when I was working with like because I did it all. I did calories, I did calorie counting, I did Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig's and nutritionalists and dietitians and vegetarian and weighing my food, and I've done all the psychosis with food in the past. But with caffeine, it was something I cut out because I didn't want my body to be reliant on that stimulus. And so I cut it out, but I love the flavor of coffee. So I've always just been a decaf girl, and I have that with heavy cream. But I don't have coffee every day. I actually I did 3 months last year, and then another month earlier this year, and then another 3 months with no coffee at all. So I do big blocks of not having it, because it's so easy to have once a day, and then it's twice a day, and then you're having 3, and then I love coffee. It's so yummy. So now I just try and have it more randomly, like once a week or twice a week if I'm out and about meeting a friend or something, and I really fancy it. But otherwise I try not to drink it at home because I've got a coffee machine as well. It's so hard. But yeah.
Yeah, it's delicious.
But
Okay, what are your
I have other buzzers. You don't drink. See, I drink a little.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, not a lot, but glass of wine here and there on date nights, a little bit of gin and soda water. So I don't ever do any mixes or anything, but I do a bit of gin, I do a bit of wine. But I didn't drink for I do big blocks. I did 4.5 months with no alcohol and another 3.5 months here with no alcohol. So it's just sporadic. But I like to get a bit silly, and I like to have a glass of wine here and there on a date night and not get drunk. I haven't been drunk in so long, I don't even know, but I do like to drink here and there.
Yeah, I mean, I will not judge if anyone does that. I cannot just have one, so that's why I have none.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have the whole bottle and then some. What are your thoughts on fasting?
I don't do it anymore, but I have. I use it for clients, definitely, depending on what their requirements are, but it can be a valuable tool. Obviously, for autophagy, where we want to break down the damaged and dead cells out of our body, it's great for that. It's great for because when we're in a fasted state, our body's able to do all the healing, all the repair, all the regeneration, all the rebuild. That all happens when we're in a fasted state. It's also amazing for mental clarity, skin. It also, I definitely think it helped tighten the skin on my stomach post-birth. So there's definitely perks to fasting. Again, that is something that I would say get a coach for, because fasting is not something where it's just like, oh, I'm just not going to eat today. Like, it does not work that way. You have to do a prime. You have to be in a state where you have a cellular level of nutrients before you start cutting stuff out, so that your body still has what it needs to do all the operations that it does day to day before you then eat again. So when I did fasting, I did it for 3 months. I did a cyclic. So I did, up to, I think 44 hours was about my max. And then I started getting insomnia. I started waking in the night. It affected my sleep, blah, blah, blah. So I stopped. because it was like, okay. And then now I just naturally do. So some days I'll do a natural 24, 26 hours. Because I'm busy and I'm doing things and I'm not hungry. But I don't really do more than probably 30 hours anymore. And it's not on purpose. It's just organic now. Definitely has perks though.
Yeah, I agree. And I would say to go down that rabbit hole a little bit more would be like check out Dr. Mindy Pell's, because she has all that information, like using your cycle with it too. Like we don't want to fast the week before our period or even like at ovulation time. So definitely something that you just don't want to do every day. A lot goes into that. How many meals a day do you have? It varies for me. Sometimes if I wake up and I'm hungry, like I'm going to eat, but some days it's easier to push off a little bit. So I'll have a shorter eating window. And like today ended up being 2 meals. So yeah, it just depends. I like to intuitively fast.
Yeah, me too. I typically have 2. I very rarely have breakfast, but I'm not very hungry ever. I don't really get hungry till after lunch. And it isn't an activity level thing. Like I can get through my training or my clients, get to 5, 6 in the afternoon, and I'm asking myself, have I eaten today? Because it's not like my energy levels have gone down or fluctuated. I'm just like, did I eat? Have I eaten? And I'll sometimes ask my family, has anyone seen me eat anything today? Because I literally won't even remember. So yeah, I typically do 2. If like you, if I'm hungry, I eat. Like I'm not stuck on anything. And it's so much nicer to have that intuitive way of being and just be like, yeah, I'm hungry, so I'm going to have something to eat, or I'm not, and I don't. Or I'm on a plane and there's nothing, so I'm just going to fast for the whole time. Like that's another really like perk of having a body that can use the stores of fats that are on it when required, without giving us hangry, emotional downs. Yeah, because when I flew to London recently, I didn't eat any of the plane food. Like it's so funny. My family thinks it's so hilarious because you'll get your little meal, all your little packet things around it, and I'll literally pick out the like 3 or 4 pieces of beef out of this whole thing, and then just put the lid back on, push it over there. I'm like, we brought so much food on the plane. We brought like burgers and chicken and sausages, and like we had salami, boiled eggs, butter. I took like salt. I took everything on the plane with me, and it was brilliant because you don't have to wait for them to come around. You don't have to, and I just ate as I wanted to. And you also then don't get to your destination feeling like crap, which I also never drink on the plane ever. So yeah, it's handy being able to fast.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, if you guys have any more questions, go ahead and put them in the comments because the question box is not working. I had some others.
I was going to say, answer all the ones that we got.
No, I'm reading it right now. Okay, we talked about the kids and lunch ideas that aren't messy. So what comes to mind would be hard-boiled eggs, bacon, like deli meat roll-ups. So take a piece of turkey, put some mayo and cheese in it, roll it up. I'm trying to think what else would even just be like you don't even have to warm up.
My
just finger foods.
Like frittata style things. So you can get your muffin tray and then basically put different meats, cheeses, whatever you want in them, and then make an egg mixture and then fill it up and bake them. And then they also defrost really well. So you can individually wrap them in Glad wrap, freeze them in the freezer, and then take them out. And then by lunch, you've got this nice little fresh egg frittata thing. That's really helpful. Like you said, hard-boiled eggs are great, but can be a bit boring. And I saw someone make a sandwich out of them the other day where they cut the hard-boiled egg in half and they put butter and something else in it. So I've been doing that and making a little like egg sandwich and then just eating it with cream cheese and butter. It's so yummy. That's really easy. And then like you said, like the wrap type things are really simple too. So just rolling up meat with fillings inside. Sausages are a really good one. Leftovers are always your go-to because even if you can't reheat them, I love meat cold anyway. And so I'll do, I'll always make more food in the evening than is needed, so that if someone needs to grab and dash, there's something for them to take.
Yeah.
Because what happens with most people is they fail because they haven't prepped. They haven't actually got everything organized. And so in the minute that they're starving, they're just shoving any old thing in their mouths. And then later they're going, oh, I really should have been more organized. So just a tiny bit of cooking more and leftovers is the easiest way.
Yeah. I agree. Okay, I'm sure we had more questions that I could have written down, but that question box, I took a screenshot and then I forgot about it, and then it disappears after the 24 hours. So that's all I have right now, and I can't see any of them in the question box. So last call on any questions. I'm gonna just do a quick scroll and see if I can catch anything that we missed. We did
that. Going, since I said we might talk about the cookbook.
What'd you say?
How's the cookbook going?
Oh, it's good. I'm a little behind this week. I'm easily overwhelmed, but yeah, a little behind on my to-do list this week. But other than that, it's coming along. We've got the title solidified. Woo! We've got the author bio, and we've got the description. So that's kind of fun. I'm probably almost halfway done with all the recipes.
And how many
are
you going to have
what's
in it?
that?
How many recipes are you having in there?
Minimum of 75.
Wow.
And I probably won't. Yeah, well, they even have it as 75 to 115. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to get anywhere. Like 75 is going to be pushing it just because of time. Like, yeah. I mean, I could easily fill it with more, but just the time. So we're going for 75. Someone asking what the book is. It's a carnivore cookbook, and it will have, in the beginning, they want some of like my story, and they want some of like the why and the science behind it and like how to get started. So it will be a little bit more than just cookbook or just recipes. It will be like why we eat this way. And so, yeah, that part's not much my wheelhouse, but it will be in there.
Exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, had such a big hiccup because ours is literally done. Like everything's done. Like all the links are done for it. The cover's done. All the picture. Like it looks beautiful. But because we are such anal human beings, we wanted to go back through and just check all the recipes and make sure that you've got everything. And like, because we cook by feel. Like we're like, when you know how to cook, you cook very much by, just by instinct. And I don't measure anything. So measuring is a whole big thing. And, we're changing things. And then I had my surgery. So my surgery put a big spanner in pretty much my whole year. It just threw a bomb into my world. And I was like, okay, we're just going to put that over there. And we're going to deal with that later when I have the capacity to do so. But I'm hoping it'll be out before the end of the year. I would love to have it by Christmas because it is almost done, but we'll just see. So I've had people waiting for this for a year, so I'm like, oh well, you can just wait a little bit longer. Sorry guys. And it is not going to be like yours, Court. It's only a family favorite, so it's just got all of our staples, all the things we cook all the time, all the things we really, really love. And it's got tips on like how to cook, because people don't seem to realize too, like there's processes involved when you're cooking something, and how to get that depth of level of flavor into something that isn't got 1,000 ingredients in it. Still needed to do that. So we've got some tips on how to do that kind of thing in there as well. But yeah, we'll see when that surfaces eventually. But I'm definitely going to get yours because yours will be amazing. And you've given our family so many ideas for food. Like I did some butter lilies yesterday, didn't we? You can try one, yeah. I bloody burnt them though. I was just taking that just a little bit too far with the caramel. You can have one as well. But I kept them because I was like, if they don't taste like charcoal, that my kids will eat them anyway. So I'm like, they're like, oh, can we have one? I'm like, yeah, go for it.
So good.
Yeah, let me show Courtney. But yeah, so whenever we come up with any recipes, the girls are always saying to me, oh, did this come from your friend Courtney? Because our ideas. Oh yeah, look at the bottom of that one. I put them in these huge molds.
Oh, yummy. No, mine usually get pretty dark like that. That looks good.
it just smelt. You can have one.
Yum.
Is it burnt? You've got a burnt
It's
flavour?
like caramel.
Oh, there you
Yeah.
go. I put them in these gigantic molds because usually I put them in little molds, but I was like, oh well, we'll just see if they're burnt.
Oh, that sounds so good. I'm gonna have to go bite some butter after this. I haven't made those in a while.
Oh, they're not burnt. Oh, you sad tiny bit. But yeah, so we will definitely be getting your cookbook because I'm sure there'll be amazing things in there. There's something in there I've been waiting for too, and you're like, sorry, I can't share. Oh, your cinnamon rolls. I'm like, but yeah, it will be amazing when it finally does come out.
I'm excited. Okay, I feel like this is a last great question to end on. So if you want to answer this, I think it'll be perfect because I might get a little too snarky. So the question is, no hate, but why, and not snarky, but I might be a little harsh. No hate, but why do all meat and not all veggies? Protein? I want to know the reason to change my diet.
Oh, bless you. Well, well done for actually asking the fucking question, because a lot of people won't even bother. They're like, no, this is good. Oopsies. This is helpful. Well, this is the universe going, okay, steady on there, Jessica, because you know, I was vegetarian for a year. I'm just going to clean my screen because I just did something to it. There we go. Okay, so why meat? Why meat? Because meat has everything, right? Every vitamin, every nutrient, every mineral, everything that you need is found in a piece of steak. Okay, versus vegetables, right? We can't get what we need from vegetables alone at all. You can't do it. And that means supplementation, that means massive quantities of different things. And the other thing you've got to remember is bioavailability. Can your body even absorb what you're eating, right? So meat is the most bioavailable, which means readily absorbable source of fuel that we can eat is meat. And you, in order to eat, say, the equivalent in iron or vitamin C for your daily requirements, you'd have to eat like a, you know, a stack, like a ton of spinach to achieve that. And it doesn't mean your body can absorb it. So those are the primary reasons. The other reason is obviously plants have defense chemicals inside them called anti-nutrients, oxalates, lectins, phytates, and those things are detrimental to the human body. They create all sorts of problems: joint inflammation, leaky gut, you know, mental problems, gut problems, skin problems. The list is endless. It really is. And so if you're going to choose one or the other, you want to go for the one that nourishes you and gives you everything that you need, not one that is leaving you with a deficiency, which is what will happen if you go veg only. Did I cover that clearly? I felt like I got a bit overexcited at the beginning.
No, I think that's great. I mean, in short, plants are trying to kill you, in the words of Chafee. And yeah, I think you answer that great. My poor little light is like fighting for its life right now. It's dark outside. I've got the like, yeah.
Good time. I think we're
it's a good time to wrap it up. So thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you for
some
comments too. There've been lovely comments of people going, oh, it's so, you guys are amazing. And so we appreciate you guys all joining us and asking questions and just being here, because it is so against the mainstream. And so, you know, Court and I, and amongst all the other carnivores, we're just trying to share what has helped not only us but other people to get out of a place of illness, out of a place of deficiency, and into a place of thriving. And so we just want to share that. So the more that you guys ask us questions and get involved and share this with your friends and family, like, that's what we want. We want everyone to know that there's this thing that you can do to make yourself feel amazing, and it is intuitive, and it is spiritually connected to the earth, and it is natural, and scientifically, if you want to go down that stupid comment, it is giving you everything you need and nothing you don't. Yeah.
boom.
Oh,
Beautiful. We'll end there. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Jess. Love you.
I love you. See you soon.
All right. Bye, you guys.